Thursday is when she testifies. Do you think we'll learn anything new?
Well, we should. First of all, it's important to have the hearing. But secondly, it's important that the American people understand the facts as opposed to what the motivations of the committee might be. There may be some who are simply out to try and discredit Secretary Clinton, but there are facts that have to come out to say why were our diplomats placed in Libya under these circumstances.
Right.
We have our diplomats who are out there on the front lines every day, some of them in very dangerous places. And so we want to know, was it necessary to have them in Libya at that time? Were there requirements that they needed, that they had requested and were declined to receive, to give them? There was something comparable, in my mind at least, that happened back in 1993 when we lost 2 Black Hawk helicopters in Somalia. Question was, the military had requested tanks, armored personnel carriers, C-130 gunships. The Secretary of Defense declined to provide that equipment.
Yeah.
There was a connection, at least in the minds of those who were looking at that investigation, saying there should be accountability. In this particular case, we don't know what all the facts are. Were they supplied with the right equipment? Were the Marines in a position they could have responded? Did the Secretary of State request support, budget financing for these additional resources, and Congress turned it down?
Right.
That would put some spotlight on the Congress saying, what did you do about this? And by the way, this is one of the things that's most annoying to me. We're in a situation right now where President Putin is in Syria, and we're debating whether we're going to shut down the government over the funding of Planned Parenthood. That tells you or sends a signal to countries that we're not taking our responsibilities seriously. That means Congress as well as those that are coming under scrutiny.
Well, how forthcoming do you think Clinton can be, though, in answers to all of those questions?
She'll take an oath of office and say, answer every question. As far as the emails are concerned, is there anything in the email that you have not disclosed? Tell us who you wrote to, what you said. Did that have an impact upon your decisions? It may be that she had no knowledge of what specifically was going on the ground at that time, but she was Secretary of State. She may point out that, in fact, the State Department had requested funding and it was declined by Congress.
Right.
So I think it's important.
There's clearly numerous questions.
What's really important, when Americans die in the service of their country, we should take off the party labels, take off the Republican and the Democratic partisan pins that we wear and say, find out what the facts are. Alexander Pope, not the Italian Pope, but Alexander Pope said, through jaundiced eyes, everything looks yellow. We got to stop that.
Bill, you mentioned Syria. So Assad's troops are closing on Aleppo and other cities. This is going to inevitably, you think, draw U.S. further into Syria?
I don't think it'll draw the U.S. further into Syria. I think it's going to intensify the fighting on the part of the Sunni countries in the region, to the extent that Russia now is supporting the survival of Assad as intensifying the attack upon those who are fighting against Assad, as opposed to just going after ISIL or ISIS. I think the Sunni nations will say, we're going to continue the fight, and that will mean that Russia itself is going to find itself in a more complicated environment.